Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a debate, maybe online or with a friend, and just felt completely lost, unsure of who's actually making sense? Well, today we're going to build your toolkit for clear thinking. We are diving deep into the fundamentals of logic, the secret weapon for making sense of, well, everything. Let's get into it.
Just think about your day so far. I mean, how many times has someone tried to convince you of something? You've got news headlines, ads on your phone, your friend's passionate rant about a new TV show. It is a constant flood of claims. So the big question is, how do we tell the difference between a good argument and a bad one? How do we find the signal in all that noise? That very question is what brings us to the incredible field of logic. And no, this is not some dusty, boring subject from an old textbook. It's actually a super powerful toolkit designed to help you become a master of sound reasoning.
The easiest way to think of logic is like a blueprint for our own reasoning. See, it's not about what you think, but how you think. It gives us the structure, the rules we need to build strong, compelling arguments, and maybe just as important, to spot the cracks in weak ones.
So, okay, why does this matter in the real world, outside of a classroom? It's actually pretty simple. You know how grammar gives structure to our words so we can form sentences? Well, logic gives structure to our thoughts. It's the invisible framework that makes our thinking clear, consistent, and powerful. I absolutely love this quote. It just nails it, right? Logic isn't just for philosophers debating in some ivory tower. It's a skeleton key, a master key, that can unlock clearer, more effective thinking for every single one of us, in pretty much any situation. And seriously, you can see its power everywhere. In computer science, every single if this, then that statement in the code that runs your favorite apps, that's pure logic. In philosophy, it's the main tool for exploring life's deepest questions. And for us, day to day, it is our best defense against misinformation, helping us think critically about the world bombarding us with information. All right, let's roll up our sleeves and really get into it. We're going to look at the fundamental building blocks of all reasoning, statements and arguments. Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here. First up, we have the statement. You'll also hear it called a proposition. It's really just a statement that makes a claim about something. The sky is blue is a statement. My dog is secretly a world-class chess player is also a statement. Now here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if it's actually true, only that it can be either true or false. Something like, is my dog a chess player? That's a question, not a statement, because it doesn't claim anything. So if statements are the bricks, then an argument is the house that we build with them. We use some statements, we call these the premises, to build a foundation of support for another statement, which we call the conclusion. The premises are basically the why you should believe the what of the conclusion. Okay, buckle up, because this next idea is honestly one of the most powerful and coolest concepts in all of logic. It's the critical difference between an argument's structure and whether its pieces are actually true. Seriously, getting this changes everything. Over on the left, we've got validity. An argument is valid if its structure is perfect. Think of it like a perfectly built machine. If you put good ingredients in, meaning true premises, you are absolutely guaranteed to get a good result out. Now, on the right, we have soundness. A sound argument is the whole package. It's got that perfect, valid structure, and it's loaded with premises that are actually factually true. This is such a great way to wrap your head around it. For an argument to be truly valid, there can be no possible universe, no crazy scenario you could ever imagine where all of your premises are true, and yet somehow your conclusion turns out to be false. If that world is impossible to find, then the logic, the structure itself, is unbreakable. Let's walk through the most famous example in the history of logic. We start with a big general truth. All men are mortal. Okay, got it. Then we add a specific fact. Socrates is a man. Right. So what's the only possible conclusion that has to follow? Well, therefore, Socrates is mortal. It's inescapable. So let's break that down with our new terms. The argument is valid because the structure is flawless. That conclusion flows directly and inescapably from the premises. And because those premises, that all men are mortal and that Socrates was a man, are actually true in the real world, the argument is also sound. This right here is the gold standard of a good argument. Now, this table is fantastic because it really makes the whole idea of validity click. You can have a valid argument with totally false premises that somehow leads to a true conclusion, or even a false one. The structure can be perfect, even if the ingredients you put in are total junk. But look at that last row, the one in bold. This is the one and only combination that is absolutely, completely impossible. You can never ever have a valid argument where all the premises are true, and yet the conclusion is false. If that happens, you know for a fact the argument structure is broken. That's the ultimate test.
So now that we have a grip on the structure of arguments, let's look at the two main ways we actually use them. Logic really gives us two different paths to follow. One path leads to absolute certainty, and the other path leads to strong probability. Deductive reasoning is kind of like a funnel. It starts with a broad general rule and narrows it down to a specific certain conclusion. Inductive reasoning is the total opposite. It's like building a pyramid. You start with lots of specific individual observations, and you build your way up to a general probable conclusion.
And look, here's our old friend Socrates again. He is the perfect poster child for deductive reasoning. We take that general rule about mortality, we apply it to one specific case, and the conclusion isn't just likely, it's airtight. It is 100% guaranteed. Now, let's flip that on its head. This is inductive reasoning. We're going from specific observations like, I've seen 1,000 swans and every single one was white, to a general rule. It feels like a really strong conclusion, right? But notice that super important word, probably. This is a powerful argument for sure, but it is not certain. The second you see one single black swan, the entire conclusion just shatters. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's just take a quick breath and recap the brand new logical superpowers that you've just picked up. So here's your new cheat sheet. A statement is a true or false building block. An argument is just premises supporting a conclusion. Validity is asking, is the structure correct? Soundness is asking, is it valid and are the premises true? And finally, deduction is your tool for certainty, while induction is your tool for probability. Got it? Awesome. All right, here is your mission should you choose to accept it. Sometime in the next 24 hours, I want you to find one argument out there in the wild, in an article, an ad, a YouTube comment section, wherever. Don't worry about judging it, just try to spot the building blocks. What are the reasons being given, the premises, and what is the main point they're trying to prove, the conclusion? That's it. It's the first step to becoming a master of logic. And that brings us to our final question for you. Now that you've got this toolkit, you're going to start seeing logic, and let's be honest, the lack of it, absolutely everywhere. So we're curious, what's the most common logical mistake you see people making every single day? Let us know. Until next time, think clearly.